What's up, everybody? It's your favorite competitor's favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the Deformation aircraft, Crimson Wings, I believe it's called. This is, it's supposed to be transform element. That's what I've heard. I've heard from pretty reliable sources, so that's what I am suggesting that it is. Some of the stuff feels very similar to them, some of the packaging and stuff like that, so I can believe it. They've also been going for this Megatune look, so it's on par with that. There's a lot of things that kind of add up regarding it. This is on loan to me from Joe S. He sent me some stuff in the past. The XTB trailer springs to mind, so I appreciate it. There was a lot of people that reached out and offered to send this to me, and I appreciate all of you. I just had to go with whoever came first. I can't like keep track of all that stuff because sometimes it's a bit more than I can handle, but I appreciate everybody. That being said, we're going to talk about this guy, but in order to do so, we're going to talk about accessories. So he comes with two null rays. These actually do a number of things. It looks like it might be painted, like I'm thinking it is, but it's hard to say. Either way, it's like if it is painted, it's like a very flat paint, which is fine. It's not my preference, but it's fine. And then it has the barrel that can extend, some nice sculpt work and stuff inside of there. And then obviously we have this peg that will peg directly into his bicep, but it is a tight fit, and I'm guessing because of the paint. So let's, yikers. It's supposed to fit in there. And I was eventually able to do so, but not easy. Once again, probably didn't account for the paint. Now, in order to utilize these in alt mode, you need to break that connection here. Bring this down, spin it around, collapse it, and put it back, which is pretty clever. I just wish that it separated easier, because a lot with this figure, I kind of feel the same way in that regard. But yeah, pretty cool. And then it plugs into the bottom of your jet better, honestly, than the biceps do. He also comes with two alternate faces. This is Cub's gun. I'm just using it to hold the faces up. One has like a slight smile, and then one is just sort of a straight stoic face. So between the three faces, you'll be able to have three distinct looks, I guess, for Thundercracker and Skywarp when they are inevitably coming, which I guess is fine. They're decent enough. Gimmicks-wise, we have the landing gear that are hidden underneath the nose cone. This is just a flap over top. And then we have these. This is how it looks. In order to get access to it, you got to pull the kneecap out, flip the landing gear around, and then put it back down. And let's talk about the figure. So I will tell you, there is like a layer of paint that I didn't recognize on most of this, but it's not perhaps the best, and it is leaving some rub points. So use caution with yours. It's going to be a common issue. It's not going to be like specific to this one. It's going to be common, so be cautious. All right, let's see what we can start with. I just needed to get that out of the way first and foremost. The other thing I kind of need to get out of the way for, before we really get into anything too deep, so to speak, is that there are joint inconsistencies here. So like this shoulder moves quite nicely. This shoulder, not the same. The bicep swivel is super tight. The elbows are super tight. The knees are perfect. So like, you know, this is just, it shows the difference in a you know, a company that's just, you know, not on the same level as some of the others in terms of kind of getting all that stuff right. Doesn't mean it's bad. It's just something I wanted to get out of the way first and foremost. Okay, and now with that, we can get started. So, head, as you can see, kind of uses the same type of Takara stuff. It's a ball peg down at the base, and then it has a hinge at the neck. That can get you the head all the way up, a good bit down, and then you collapse, get the swivel, you can get a little bit of confused Starscream face, all that works fine. Head sculpt looks good to me, no issues. The shoulders are universals. They'll get you out to there, they'll get you all the way around. There's also a butterfly joint that gets the arm pretty far ahead of the chest, which is also nice. You have a bicep swivel that we just showed. It is tight. It's tempting to, when you have the null ray plugged in, to use the null ray to give you leverage to maneuver the bicep. I strongly advise against it, because I think what you'll end up doing perhaps is putting tension and strain on this pin right here, and that could be potentially disastrous. So we have a double jointed elbow. The elbow joint has sculpted detail in it as well, but it gets you the full run. And then we have a nice glossy paint for the blue here. And then we have the wrists, which swivel, a hinge in, out, well, out mainly. Then you have a ball peg thumb with a primary and secondary hinge for the knuckles, and then all the fingers are individually articulated at a primary and secondary hinge as well. So not a whole lot more you could ask for. Really well done. All right. For the chest, we have tons of accents. This transparent, translucent yellow here, not sure it's what I would prefer, but that's the route they chose. I will say that, like, all of the detailings in here, the paint job is all clean and sharp. And, I mean, obviously, it doesn't have a waist swivel, right? Because it would be impossible to do a Seeker with a waist swivel. I mean, what? It's not impossible? Oh, well, then it probably doesn't have an ab crunch, then I would guess, right? Full ab crunch as well. Like, it's just, they just did it right. Do you know what I mean? When other companies apparently cannot, they are able to do so. Just shows I think a little level of commitment and dedication to making something right. It's just me, and this figure's a sore subject for me. Anyway, hip skirts go out. Oof. These hip skirts, on the other hand, they look like they are designed to go out, but they don't go out that far. So you're I mean, that'll probably get you more than you need, but it's not the greatest range. Back is not a problem. Out to the side is not a problem. They're ratcheted forward and back. Out to the side, they are not. Let's see. You have a thigh swivel at the cut joint. That's a universal, by the way. Double jointed knee gets you the full run, so no problems there. And it's ratcheted. Smart. Then we have the vents. Painted gray. We have the light blue, or the blue here rather, painted on. I think the gray is painted too. Like it's a. They chose to go a very flat look, but they put a lot of effort into that flat look, if that makes any sense. Then we have die cast, and you get a pretty significant rocker. No real no real ankle tilt up or down though. The wings also hinge back and forth, which I find comes in handy when you're trying to, I don't know what that is there, but I find comes in handy when you're trying to pose the figure. You know, the wings don't have much of an issue to give you. So yeah, there he is from the back. I mean, it doesn't get much cleaner than that, folks. So yeah, pretty well done. Size comparison wise, there he is with his main competitor, and he's distinctly taller. So like, I'm already kind of thinking about the verses in my head of how Takara could possibly edge this thing out in like little categories and stuff. But yeah, it's interesting nonetheless. Like, they're so similar looking at them side by side. But I think, once again, little things like the color palette end up shining through in this third party one. I think the head sculpt is better. I think the proportions of the head to the body are better. They're about the same size head, I feel like, but one's distinctly taller, you know? And I know my things here are all ate up, but they come undone all the time anyway. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's gonna be an interesting Saturday. And we'll move on to Transformation, which appears to be a bit of a bear. But we'll open this up and we'll get these hands out of the way kind of first and foremost, because then that's easy and it gives me a little bit of false confidence that the rest of it will go as smoothly. Close this as well. The next thing that we want to do is unlock these tabs. And it's a little tricky, but if you use a spudger, come in from that side, you know, not the worst thing in the world. And we'll just sort of open that up. We'll do the same on this side and just sort of open that up. And we need to unpeg these sections from the middle piece there. And that's, I mean, honestly, it's no walk in the park either. So yeah, get that up and out of the way. And try your best to keep these pieces from touching each other because the paint's scratching. All right, so then we want to bring this up. Watch these little side panels here, and we want to spin this. But let's see. Let's get some of this stuff up and out of the way. Give ourselves a little working room here. And get that down. And we need to get this up. As we do so, this head, the ears need to tuck in and sit down at the bottom. Whew. Spin this cockpit 180 and then start to bring your nose cone forward. This is, I think Make Toys did this, if I'm not mistaken. Spin that around and line that up. Pretty intuitive. Spin that around and line that up. And then we can connect this. And we need to probably get this up and out of the way, because this needs to come down. You can kind of see where it fits in. It would be nice if I could get it at an angle. There. And then connect that back. Hold together. Let me see if I can't get this. I was able to get it just with, you know, elbow grease. So then get the front of this cockpit into location, and I'm scared to death because the tolerance is so tight there. And it's a translucent plastic. There it is. Good night. Then you want to bring this piece out. It's on a slider, and that will connect over top of that. Now, you want to basically connect these back. They don't need to connect proper, but you need to do it in order to get our wings turned around. So on the back here, the wings are on armatures. I don't know if that'll help or not, because it's this whole piece that needs to rotate, but we're gonna try our best. Let's see. So spin this and just make sure that you try not to touch anything else. You're gonna get it to about 90 degrees. We're gonna get this armature back on this side, and we're gonna spin this until it's about at 90 degrees. The other thing that you want to do is take this back panel and sort of bring it out and spin it 90 degrees and flip this out so that it forms the back plate. And I don't know if there's a good way to film this or not, man, but this part, you gotta get this section to basically lay flat. It's on a double hinge, and you want it to be, you know, as flat as possible. You can see where these fit in between the red spaces, but I don't think you can get this 100% flat until you kind of get it lined up right. So we'll bring these down and around so that this all starts to sit at about the 90 degree mark, and we're gonna try to flatten this out. what a pain in the ass this is. But there. All right. And you see these little like red armatures around the screw, and then there's like this little cutout there. That needs to go there as well. So if you drag, these are on sliders, these intakes here. So if you kind of angle them at the sides, bring this down. And get them into place, I hope. You need like 3 more hands. I gotta do it off camera. It's ridiculous. It's too much stuff going on. So I was able to get it. It just takes a lot of effort in utilizing, like, I used a spudger and then 2 hands, like, to hold it in place. So the last thing you want to do is get this to go down, these wing pieces, so that they'll fill in those gaps. And you want the plane to be sitting pretty much sideways while you do it. And now we need, all right, you see this screw here? We need that to be on the same side as this screw. So let's go down, and you can see where it rotates. There. And then you want, once you have it where the 2 screws are lined up, then bring this one towards the front. And it sucks because now that you have one, you have less space to actually do the other. So, and remember, this swivels, so you can kind of get that out of the way. So, and I wonder if you can't just, well, it doesn't matter. All right, bring it up. Down. Good grief. Down and back, so that we have the 2 screws underneath each other and the shoulders on the inside. And then once again, play cleanup a bit and try to get everything to look as tidy as you can. But you know, when we start bringing the legs in, we're gonna have to deal with it again. So don't drive yourself nuts, but just get it somewhat presentable, I guess. Take your butt, bring that down, fold these pieces in, and sort of hide it betwixt his legs. On the front side, you're gonna do kind of the same thing, but these 2 pieces will kind of coincide with the front cover here. All right, so then we're gonna open this up. Open this panel out, which has all of your stuff. So I know that this is going to come this way, so we need to open all this up. And spin it this way so that this will sit inside of there, but the wing is sitting in the proper place for the jet. And you can use, you know, just what you know about, you know, aircraft, I imagine, to orient yourself, because it can get a little tricky. Now, you see this slider here? That needs to slide down, and you need to have this foot opened up. so that it will sit back alongside and just maneuver it so that this tab goes into that slot there. All right, we'll do the other leg. You want to open up this panel here too. I don't think I mentioned that before, but you want to do that. And once again, we're going to open up these legs, and I get a little ate up as to exactly how you're supposed to do that, but it's just, it's there's so many weird kind of tolerance issues with this thing that, like, sometimes it's tricky to figure out whether or not you're pulling against something or using the appropriate amount of force to actually get the job done. So once again, it's going to close up like that. So we just need to orient the wing in a way that makes sense for the jet mode. So that means spinning around so that that will once again sit inside of there, and all of this will sit towards the back, and we got to spin this one last wing. All right, and then we got to get our foot sorted. So you just need to get it in a space where you can get access to this piece here, and then fold it out, bring the ankle back in, so that you can connect. Oh, we got to slide this out. There. Phew. Then bring this around and tab it back in underneath. And then kind of moment of truth. And I can tell you, I don't have much faith in my ability to be able to do this on camera, but let's try to peg these in, try to give it some sort of sense of stability. So can you see what's going to happen here? This is going to lay flat, and the arms are going to sit inside of these channels here. And it's just a matter of, like, flattening it all out, dude. And, like, it's a pain. Like, I'll see what I can do here. Yeah, I'm not messing with this, man. I'll flatten it out, and we'll go from there. So that was about as close as I'm going to get it. I'm not pushing it much further. It's not mine, and I feel like I could break it at any moment. So spin this piece around and drop that in. Same for this side. And line up, or you want to flip these down. Line this up and try to tab these in. Mine's not 100% right, so I'll probably have to mess with that again off camera. But once again, you're going to flip this down, flip this. In order to get these two pieces in here, I had to bring the chest in, but as you can see, I can't quite get that connected either. You know, it doesn't stay stuck in. And then you'll bring the wings down, flip these panels out, and connect that into there. But I need to mess with this far more to kind of get it right. What a nightmare. I'll be back. I think I got it pretty close, honestly. I did my best. I did my best job. That's what my kids say. I did my best. Yeah. So it looks, I mean, obviously mine is not 100% there. There's a lineup issue here that's not 100%. Something I feel like is off here that's not 100%, but I'm pretty close. It's just, and I got this a little closer, but it's still, as you can see, it's still not quite right, but there it is. Pretty close anyway. I think that, like, It looks good. It's definitely the most kind of complex and interesting in terms of concept-wise transformations that we've seen, but it sucks. It sucks. The process sucks. Nothing remotely fun about it, with the exception, perhaps, of putting the hands into the forearms. I mean, I love all the sculpted detail in the jet. Like, I love that. Comes through nicely. The paint is beautiful. The red and white stripes are done really well, both here and on the blue. The blue is done nicely. I mean, it looks great, and I'm sure it looks even better when you have it 100% right. But, like, I will never do this again. Like, if they do a Thundercracker and a Skywarp, we're only going to talk about the figure. I will never transform this again. I gotta get it back to robot mode, but after that, this is probably in my top 5, if not top 10 of worst transformations that I've ever had to deal with. But it does look great, and I'm sure it looks even better if you have it 100% right. And, you know, whether or not you enjoy a transformation or not is, you know, it's not entirely subjective, but there it is with Tiger Tracks. Final thoughts wise, we'll start with the negatives, and the negative mainly here is a fit and finish issue. It's a tolerance issue, it's a clearance issue, it's all of those things. It's a matter of, like, kind of, I feel like knowing exactly what it is that you're doing. Some joints move smoothly, some joints are tight, some joints are ratcheted, some are not. Some panels clip in nicely, some rely on others to kind of keep them in place, and as a result, what you're left with is a kind of game of cat and mouse of figuring out exactly what you're pulling against forcefully and also what's going together naturally. Because you can't really get, like, a baseline because not everything moves the same way. In fact, even those little panels on the back of jet mode that we like spun and dropped down, they're super loose. So it's like the stuff is just all over the place in regards to tolerances. It's the biggest detractor for robot mode because of the joints. It's the biggest detractor for the transformation. It's the biggest issue on this thing, period. The second issue that we have to address is the paint. The paint scratching, rubbing, chipping, everywhere. Once again, it shows where they are in regard to professionalism. And to be fair, I would have liked an ankle tilt up and an ankle tilt down. Perhaps I'm asking for too much, but I would have liked that. And of course, I hate the transformation. I hate it with a capital H. Positives wise though, the materials feel good, the sculpt is good, paint is there, it's not applied in the best standard of quality, but it is there. The articulation is smashing, weight swivel, ab crunch, butterfly joints, ankle rockers, pretty impressive. While the build isn't the best in regards to tolerances, at least everything feels solid on it. The alt mode looks good. It'd probably look better if the transformation was easier, or at least more natural. And it has a lot of character in it. So here's how I feel about it. If you're a guy that likes to flip your stuff back and forth, I suggest you pass on this. If you're a guy that's looking for a tune-accurate Starscream for your MP shelf, this is probably the best answer to that, in my opinion. Will I be switching out? No. I'm just not a huge fan of the super tune look for a lot of this stuff, and Starscream's specifically one of those for me. But if I were to, I would definitely get this one over the Takara for my purposes. So I hope that helps. First is on Saturday. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.